Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today I am very pleased to be talking to Kevin Cote. He is a sports enthusiast and a sports expert. He came through Facebook and social media, and now he's running his own consulting company. And I'm very anxious to hear kind of his whole story. So Kevin, if you could just kind of go through a little bit of history of where you came from and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Thank you for having me. I mean, the long story short, I come from small town, Carson City, Nevada, but grew up coming to the Bay Area a lot as a kid. I remember driving over the Bay Bridge as a kid, must have been 8, 9 years old, and seeing downtown San Francisco and knowing, even as a kid, that that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to work and live there someday, and I didn't know why, but I knew that. As I grew older, I knew I wanted to work in sports as well. And so I wound up going to Santa Clara University. Shout out to the Broncos. Long story short there, wound up working for the San Francisco Giants for a couple of years right there in San Francisco. Wound up working for the Golden State Warriors for 11 seasons, back when they were in Oakland, but also when they were developing what is now the Chase Center in San Francisco. And then wound up working and leading sports partnerships at Facebook, which is now Meta, for 8 years, a couple of years, which I worked downtown in two of the buildings that Facebook worked out of in downtown San Francisco. So I got to see that dream become a reality, not knowing as a kid what that meant, but really, really fortunate and blessed to have had that journey. And then for the last year, I've been running my own sports tech consultancy, seeing where the worlds of sports and tech collide and seeing where I can be helpful.
So you started with the Giants. What did you do exactly with the Giants?
Yes, I was in media relations there. This was in the 2004, 2005, right in the heyday of Barry Bonds. Really exciting. It was the only time in my career that, I had an office that overlooked a baseball field.
Oh,
And
nice.
for me, that was, I had already made it. I could die happy then. And it was quite a special time. Just, being able to live in San Francisco and be around, a baseball team that I grew up rooting for, and kind of cut my teeth in that way and started my journey in the sports industry.
Well, I assume possibly, did you meet Willie Mays along the way?
I did, yes. And I was actually just thinking a lot about him, obviously, in the last couple of weeks. Really unfortunate with his passing, but it was also incredible to see all the tributes with him. And I'll never forget the first time I met him. I was in the locker room, just handing out papers, and he stuck out his hand. And he said, "Oh, I'm Willie Mays." I said, "Yes, I know who you are, sir." I was, probably shaking from nervousness and excitement, but incredible tribute to him over the last couple of days. Well deserved, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the repeated item for Willie was always that what a great, 5-tool baseball player he was, but that was kind of nothing compared to what he did for the community, which, I suspect you're well aware of that whole scenario from
Most
being kind of on the inside.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So then you moved to the Warriors and you did media for the Warriors.
I started on the media and PR side, and this is back in 2005. So the Warriors weren't what they are now. They were not having as much success back in those days, but eventually moved into more of the tech side. So website development, email marketing, and then eventually social media, mobile technology, virtual reality. Very fortunate again in terms of timing to see the rise of the franchise into what they are now, which is a world-class multi-championship winning organization. But also at the time, there was a lot happening in the world of technology in the Bay Area and social media. And one of my jobs was to make sure we were close with Apple and Google and Twitter and Facebook. And so really fortunate at that time to infuse tech and sports on the business side, on the basketball side, introducing the players to a lot of that as well. And so again, something that I don't take for granted and really look back on fondly.
So for those that don't know, and I maybe don't know, what does that mean, integrating tech with sports?
Sure. I mean, when you talk about social media, for example, I think I've always said social media and sports are the perfect marriage because it is live, it's interactive, it's in the moment, it's passion because of fans. It's an endless supply of content that is unpredictable. But therein also lies opportunities to drive business results, to sell tickets, to sell merchandise, to enhance sponsorship valuations. And when you put that all together, it makes for incredible opportunity for sports organizations, whether you're a team, a league, a media company, a digital publisher, or now you're seeing much more, the rise of creators and influencers and athletes because they can go direct to their fans, or they can go direct, not just for content, but for selling merchandise and things and building businesses. So to me, technology in terms of social media lends itself extremely well to sports.
So then I assume, did Facebook come to you or did you go to Facebook?
Yeah, I had been working closely with all of the tech companies in my capacity with the Warriors. Facebook started their sports partnerships department for the first time in 2015. I was one of the first few people hired for that team, and one of my first jobs at Facebook was to work with the Warriors during some of their best championship years. My first job was to work with teams all around the world, so not just basketball teams, but all professional college teams in the U.S., pro teams in Europe and Australia and South America. So it was, again, an incredible opportunity to learn about and appreciate the power of sport to connect and unite people, not just in the United States or the Bay Area, but all around the world.
Wow. It sounds like a handful to go global from from being kind of focused on one team.
It
So
was a fun challenge, though.
how many people are in that department now?
Phew, I couldn't even tell you. 20, 30
Big.
plus, probably. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So not a huge department still, but a big plate, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, that was good. And then you decided to move on to your own consulting firm, and you're doing all kinds of things with that.
Yeah, so I'm advising, consulting, mentoring a wide variety of sports tech startups in different capacities, and one, seeing where my experience and network can be helpful, but also again that theme of learning. I'm learning so much about the venture capital and fundraising and the hustle that goes into running a startup. So much appreciation for founders and the executives at startups who are really, really focused on driving innovation and building from the ground up. And so I sit back in awe sometimes, but also it makes me passionate and makes me want to see where I can be helpful.
Well, that brings us to, I mean, a lot of commercial real estate people raise money, and maybe you can advise people on what a good pitch looks like, or how you can maybe enhance a pitch so that you actually get some results.
It's a good question. I mean, you have to have a compelling story. I think, humans are by nature storytellers, and we are more aware and interested when something is told in story format. Something I've learned, social media taught me that, working in public relations taught me that. So, and I've been on the other side of a lot of pitches. So I've also learned a ton there. When I was at the Warriors, we had a ton of startups coming to us every day. That part of my job was to vet that. And so I've seen pitches that the what you want to avoid is obviously not knowing your audience. I think that's a huge key. Not understanding if the Warriors had a game last night, and you should reference that right off the top, in lieu of other small talk, so that you know what kind of mood everybody in the room is going to be in. Little small things like that, and or just knowing the context of the people you're speaking to, what's recently been in the news with the company. I think so. Yeah, I guess two themes would be storytelling and knowing your audience.
No, that's fantastic, because I think those are two very critical items to building that respect and trust that you need between two different groups. So I am fascinated. I didn't realize that the Warriors had startups pitching to them. Was that for funds that they had in a foundation, or was that for other type things?
Yeah, a lot of times it was for new technology. And so that could have
Oh,
been on the business side, something involving ticketing, for example,
oh,
or been on the performance side, something that was, for the players, for identifying injury risk, or understanding the mental capacity in addition to physical, all kinds of, and of course, the Bay Area is where a lot of that innovation is happening. And so we got the opportunity to be right in the middle of that.
Wow. Oh yeah. So what do you think the next 10 years in sports technology is going to look like?
Yeah, I'm utterly fascinated, like everybody, with the role of AI.
Mm,
And that, again, similar to what I just mentioned, on the sports side, that's going to have practical applications on the business and operations side, on the
mm,
fan engagement side and the fan experience side, but also the player performance side. That includes injury prevention, refereeing, scouting, democratizing opportunity. So there's so much, and I've been diving in deep into this world, so I've seen a lot of really interesting use cases and ideas. But I know that so much of that is around the corner that hasn't even been invented yet. And that's what I'm excited to continue to see how AI can be leveraged in a positive way, specifically in the sports world. In general, in our everyday lives as well. I see it through the eyes of my kids and how their world is going to look a lot different than mine. But I'm not in denial about that. I'm trying to just make sure that myself and them are prepared for that world, and professionally, that the clients I work with and the industry of sports in general, there's this wave coming, and it's already here. So how are you preparing your business for it now? That's really what I'm focused on.
So this is probably springboarding way off beyond Chat GBT. There's probably all sorts of, are there sports AI websites and so forth
Most
that are
definitely.
now coming out and doing things?
Most definitely. Even for, someone like me who likes to pretend I know how to golf, swing analyzing for understanding why am I slicing the ball so much? Like there are so many tools now that identify, that use kinetics and other kind of biomechanical information to assess amateurs like myself, but professionals who are going to be able to take advantage of that information in much greater ways.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that AI could kind of springboard way beyond what's currently available and take all those swings and put them all together and then say this is where you're going wrong and this is where you ought to be headed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for baseball and pitching and basketball, that's all coming together in a
Yeah.
very interesting way.
Yeah. And then on the business side, there's everything is moving to streaming, right?
Oh,
Reports are that the NBA is about to sign a big deal with Amazon. The NFL is already working with Amazon and Netflix. MLS is working with Apple TV in terms of their rights, their live games. With that, one comes a huge change in the way sports are consumed, but also the data that's available for them to leverage to drive other business results. So AI is going to have a huge impact in that as well. And ideally, it's all in the interest of uh, optimizing the fan experience. And
mm.
I used to say this 10 years ago, there's never been a better time to be a sports fan because everything was so accessible, from the content to the ability to engage with your favorite team or favorite player through social media. And I think that's only going to become more and more positive as we embark upon this new era.
Wow. Well, I mean, I must admit, when I see the Giants on Apple TV, it's almost like a totally different experience.
Yeah, yeah. They're using different cameras, and they're preparing for, yeah, this kind of next
This
wave.
next round that's going to happen, and it's going to be very lively. So yeah, I mean, you're going to virtually be sitting in the stands, so to speak.
Indeed.
So anyway, well, this is fantastic. I greatly appreciate your time. If someone wanted to get a hold of you, what would you suggest, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so I would just look up Kevin Cote on LinkedIn, and yeah, I'm always willing to connect and engage and learn as much as I can and be helpful. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today.
Well, thank you for coming. Kevin Cote, Cote. So check him out on LinkedIn. Kevin, what a great time. Great to see you.
You too, Pierce. Have a good one.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.